Hello, writers. This is the second Quick Tips video in a series on easy ways to improve your dialogue. In this video, we'll focus on the following 5 dialogue tips. Let's take a look at a couple examples to illustrate these points. So for the first one, I often see scenes and stories from beginning writers that go something like this. Hey, what you doing? Not much. You? Just hanging out. Frenchie called. Again? Tell me you didn't talk with him. Well, he was sweet. He wanted to apologize. That rat. He's not that bad. I'm seeing him tonight. Lucy, no way. It'll be fine. I have to go. Okay, bye. Bye. All right. This isn't terrible. I mean, at least there's dialogue, but the beginning and end of this don't have any heat or tension. They're pretty pointless. If we cut those parts and trust the reader to imagine how the conversation began and ended, you might get something a bit more interesting, like this. Frenchie called. Again? Tell me you didn't talk with him. He was sweet. He wanted to apologize. He's a jerk, Lucy. And then we can just stop there and move on to the next scene. Generally, it's good to always end the dialogue on a note of tension. I can imagine this last line haunting Lucy later, as she remembers what her friend said about Frenchie and wonders if she was right. All right, let's take a look at another example. Let's get a burger, he said. Okay, that sounds great, she replied. Here we have 2 characters agreeing, and this has to do with the second tip above, that normally when characters agree, you can just cut or summarize those moments because there isn't much tension or interest there. Or we could revise the dialogue so the characters disagree in subtle ways that show their different characters. And if we do that, we might get something a little more interesting, like this. Let's get a burger, he said. Really? You eat burgers? I like this a bit more because it suggests subtext. Maybe she thought he was a vegetarian. Maybe she's beginning to realize that he's not the person she imagined he was. It makes me wonder what she'll say or do next. And that's good in a story. Okay, let's take a look at one more example. And to keep things simple, in these examples, I'm just including the spoken parts. I'm leaving out the tags, gestures, and descriptions that might also be part of the scene. You're going out again? What do you mean again? I haven't gone out once all week. I know. It's just that I was hoping to spend some time with you tonight. I thought we could watch a movie together. That's sweet. I'd love to do that. Thanks, Lucy. Even though we're roommates, and I know this is awkward, I think I'm starting to develop feelings for you. All right. Hopefully, you notice how this dialogue may have started with some interesting tension, but then it fizzled out at the end. And that's because too much is said here. It's unrealistic. People rarely say what they're feeling like this, especially if the stakes are high. Instead, people often use language to avoid or defensively cover up what they actually feel. That's why communication is often miscommunication, which is great for fiction because it's another way to increase tension and show character. If we cut the parts that say too much and leave the important stuff implied but unspoken, we might get something a little more interesting with a bit more heat, like this. You're going out again? What do you mean again? I haven't gone out once all week. I'm just asking. I thought you broke up with Jack. Who said I was meeting Jack? All right, one way to think about the power of leaving the big stuff unsaid is that what's unsaid is like magma churning beneath the surface. As soon as the big stuff is spoken, the magma breaks through the surface and then it cools and solidifies into rock, and it loses its power. Now, often the point of escalating tension in a story is to increase the pressure on the characters until what lies beneath the surface is forced up in a dramatic eruption. Usually that's what happens at the story's climax. But if this happens too early in the story, it seems neither believable nor significant. The more stuff is left unsaid, the more tension is able to build up beneath the surface, so when it finally does break through and emerges, it's powerful, transformative, and satisfying for the reader. Okay, that's it for this one. In the next video in the series, we'll look at some more advanced dialogue tips. If this helped, please click the like button below and check out my website for more writing and publishing tips. Write on, brave souls.